So Welsh progressive rock in the 70s and 80s was a force unto itself, leaving a distinct mark on the progressive music scene. Now, though these bands were often overshadowed by their English and Scottish counterparts, they brought a unique blend of folk, psychedelia, and intricate musical arrangements to the genre. Their contributions were vital in pushing the boundaries of progressive rock while embracing a distinctly Welsh identity. Bands like Man, Budgie and Lone Star weren't just names in the scene. They were pioneers who crafted progressive rock with a raw energy and creativity that stood apart. Now, each of these groups took influences from the larger British rock movements, but infused their music with a sense of place, culture, and experimentation that left an indelible mark on progressive rock. Let's start with Man, who were formed in 1968 in Merthyr Tydfil. They gained early attention with their distinctive blend of progressive rock, psychedelia, and blues. They were heavily inspired by the West Coast sounds of American bands like the Grateful Dead, which resonated throughout their long improvisational live performances and sprawling studio tracks. The 1971 album Be Good to Yourself, At Least Once a Day, was a major turning point. The album featured lengthy compositions such as Come On, an extended bluesy jam that emphasized their ability to stretch musical ideas without losing energy. And this album, with its experimental nature, was emblematic of their sound. Unpredictable, full of intricate layers, and unapologetically eclectic. The fold-out map of Wales and the album's sleeve emphasised the band's connection to their roots, grounding their music in a specific cultural identity. Now, the band followed this up with Rhinos, Winos and Lunatics, what a great title, in 1974, and a further dive into psychedelic and progressive territory. The record's complex arrangements and adventurous instrumentation took their sound in new directions, while retaining the jam-based sensibility that made their live shows so popular. Now, despite some lineup changes and commercial challenges, Man built a dedicated fan base throughout the relentless touring, earning a reputation as one of the UK's premier live acts. Now, their ability to fuse folk, rock and blues into something entirely their own makes them a foundational part of Welsh progressive rock history. Now, Budgie, another Welsh rock powerhouse, were formed in Cardiff in 1967. Now, often remembered for that heavier sound that predated the heavy metal movement, Budgie's long, complex compositions and conceptual albums earned them a firm place in the progressive rock genre. Their self-titled debut in 1971 showcased their unique combination of crushing riffs and intricate songwriting. Tracks like Nude Disintegrating Parachutist Woman combined a raw, bluesy heaviness with the kind of extended instrumental passages and dynamic shifts typical of progressive rock. Budgie's real breakthrough came with the Never Turn You Back on a Friend album in 1973. Now, this included Bread Fan. This was a high-energy, riff-driven track that captured the balance between their heavier tendencies and progressive ambitions. This song's layered structure and shifting dynamics embodied the essence of 70s progressive rock, and it later gained a second life when Metallica covered it in the late 80s. Budgie's ability to experiment, whilst maintaining a heavy edge, helped them to stand out, particularly in songs like Pounds. This was an emotional progressive epic that clocked in at just over 10 minutes. Now, though they never achieved the commercial success of contemporaries like Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin, Budgie's contributions to progressive rock are undeniable, and they still remain a cult favourite amongst rock enthusiasts. Moving into the mid-70s now, we've got Lone Star, who brought a more polished and melodic approach to Welsh progressive rock. Formed in Cardiff in 1975, Lone Star were influenced by both the hard rock scene and the progressive rock bands emerging across the UK at the time. Their self-titled debut album in 1976 featured a blend of soaring vocals, complex guitar work, and synthesizers that created a sound both powerful and intricate. Songs like Flying in the Reel highlighted the band's ability to merge progressive rock's technicality with a more accessible melodic approach, making them stand out from the more traditional prog bands of the era. Their second album, Firing on All Six in 1977, pushed them even further into the realm of progressive rock, with more elaborate compositions and a greater emphasis on keyboards and synthesizers. The band's ability to craft dense, multi-layered songs without losing their rock edge made them a unique voice in the Welsh music scene. However, despite critical acclaim and a growing fan base, commercial success just eluded them, so they disbanded soon after. But nevertheless, Lone Star's brief run produced 2 albums that continue to be celebrated by progressive rock fans for their ambition and technical prowess. For those drawn to folk-influenced progressive rock, Eyes of Blue offered a different take on the genre. Originally a rhythm and blues band formed in 1966, Eyes of Blue quickly evolved into something much more eclectic. And by their second album, In Fields of Ardath in 1969, the band had fully embraced progressive rock's experimental ethos. Their music blended jazz, classical and Eastern influences with psychedelic rock, creating a sound that was unpredictable as it was captivating. Tracks like Merry-Go-Round exemplified their willingness to defy genre conventions, incorporating a variety of instruments and musical styles. Now, though Eyes of Blue didn't achieve the widespread success of some of their contemporaries, their adventurous approach to songwriting earned them a loyal following and a lasting legacy in progressive rock circles. Their work remains an essential listen for those interested in the intersection of psychedelia and progressive music. Another hidden gem from the Welsh progressive scene is Quicksand. Now, these were a band that were formed in South Wales in the early 1970s. They released only 1 album and then were done. Home Is Where I Belong in 1973, which has since grown in stature, becoming highly regarded among fans of the genre. The album is a brilliant mix of melodical rock and experimental pastoral elements, showcasing the band's ability to combine accessibility with ambition. Their music was marked by its intricate guitar work, subtle keyboard flourishes, and lush vocal harmonies, which gave their sound a rich, multi-layered quality. Songs like Overcome the Pattern displayed their knack for complex arrangements and introspective lyrics that really explored philosophical and personal themes, a hallmark of the progressive rock movement. Some people we don't know overcome the pattern. Now, while Quicksand disbanded soon after their debut and never had the chance to evolve further, their sole album remains a lost classic, often cited as one of the overlooked gems of Welsh progressive rock. Meanwhile, Ancient Greece were another short-lived but significant player in the early Welsh progressive rock scene. Formed in the late 1960s, their 1970 album, Women and Children First, was a bold statement, blending heavy blues rock with progressive elements in a way that set them apart from their contemporaries. Now, while their sound leaned more towards the hard rock spectrum, tracks like Time to Die showcased an ability to craft extended multi-part compositions that fit within this progressive rock mood. Ancient Greece excelled at creating dynamic shifts in the music, moving from hard-hitting, riff-driven passages to more intricate instrumental section. The band's use of unconventional song structures and a mixture of heavy and melodic elements made them a standout act of the time. Unfortunately, their career was cut short just after 1 album, but Women and Children First has since earned a cult following for its innovation and heavy yet sophisticated sound. Bron, a progressive rock band from Caerphilly, offered a unique twist on the genre by incorporating traditional Welsh folk influences into their music. Singing in both Welsh and English, their album Ail Dectra in 1975 and Headfan in 1976 blended folk melodies with complex progressive rock arrangements, creating a sound that was both expansive and deeply rooted in Welsh cultural traditions. Bron's music stood out for its emphasis on storytelling and pastoral imagery, elements that were common in Welsh folk music but rare in the progressive rock scene. Their combination of acoustic instruments such as flutes and traditional strings, with electric guitars and intricate time signatures, gave their music a timeless, earthy feel. And despite not achieving mainstream success, Bron's distinctive approach earned them a loyal following, and contributions to the Welsh progressive rock landscape remain influential, particularly among those who appreciate a fusion of cultural heritage and musical complexity. Now, while more closely associated with perhaps the glam metal movement of the 1980s, Tiger Tails brought a subtle progressive elements into their music through complex song structures and technical instrumentation. These guys were known for their flamboyant image and anthemic choruses. With the band's debut album, Young and Crazy, in 1987, this featured a level of musicianship that set them apart from many of their glam metal peers. Their guitarist, Jay Pepper's elaborate guitar work, filled with intricate solos and unexpected changes in rhythm and tempo, gave Tiger Tails songs a complexity that appealed to fans of more technical rock. Now, whilst their progressive tendencies were often overshadowed by glam aesthetic songs like Star Attraction, this showed their willingness to experiment within the genre's conventions. Tiger Tails may be remembered primarily for their image, but their early work is worth revisiting for those interested in intersection of metal and progressive rock, particularly for their ambitious approach to musicianship. So these 9 Welsh bands represent the breadth and diversity of progressive rock and the movement in Wales during the 70s and 80s. And each band contributed to the evolution of the genre in their own individual way, blending folk rock and experimental elements to create a sound that was uniquely Welsh. Some, like Bron, embraced the cultural heritage and infused it into their music, while others, like Tiger Tails, brought progressive elements into unexpected genres like glam metal. Though not all of them achieved international fame, their impact on progressive rock remains significant, and their music continues to inspire fans of the genre even today. From the melodic intricacies of Quicksand to the hard-rocking complexity of ancient Greece, these bands left an enduring legacy in the world of Welsh progressive rock. So this exploration of Welsh rock is part of a larger series delving into the untold stories of rock across the British Isles. In the previous video, it took us to Scotland, where bands like The Country and Nazareth redefined rock music in the 70s and 80s with their raw energy and innovation. You can watch the full breakdown of Scotland's contribution here. But what I do want you to do is stay tuned for the final video in the series, where we head across the Irish Sea to explore Ireland's rich progressive rock history. Bands like Horslips and Skid Row push the boundaries of the genre, blending Irish folk traditions with progressive rock. The full Irish rock story will be available here soon, so don't miss out.